I'm Susan, 41. Standing in the Massachusetts Supreme Court chambers, I adjust my robe and catch a glimpse of my reflection in the mirror. For a split second, the mocking face of my mother, Diane, from that first courtroom encounter flashes in my memory. But it's like distant thunder now, no longer a storm that can drown me. The bailiff's voice rings out, "All rise for Justice Carter." The weight of legacy sits comfortably on my shoulders, and I feel a quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly who I am. It all started years ago when I found myself in the Boston County Courthouse, not as a prosecutor like I usually was, but as the defendant. The courthouse gleamed like polished marble in the morning sun as I pushed through the heavy oak doors. My heels clicked against the floor, and each step was measured, though inside, I was a storm of emotions. I spotted my parents right away. My mother, Diane, was 58, a socialite who always dressed to impress. Her perfectly manicured hand rested on the sleeve of her attorney, Mr. Harris. She leaned in, whispering something that made them both smirk. The diamond necklace around her neck caught the light, and her designer suit was a statement of her supposed status. My father, Richard, 60, a once ambitious businessman whose dreams had turned into a never-ending chase for money, stood slightly apart, checking his watch impatiently. They didn't notice me at first. "Look who finally showed up," Diane Stage whispered to Richard. "Our long, abandoned daughter graces us with her presence." The irony of her words stung like salt in an old wound. I smoothed my simple black suit and walked past them without a glance, taking my seat at the defendant's table. The judge, Judge Thompson, entered the courtroom. His eyes widened in surprise when he saw me. "Assistant District Attorney Susan, it's unusual to see you here as the defendant," he said. I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. "Family matters can take us to unexpected places, Your Honor." Behind me, I heard Diane's sharp intake of breath. When I glanced back, the color had drained from Richard's face. They had no idea their long, absent daughter had become a successful prosecutor. Suddenly, I was transported back in time. I was just a 6-month-old baby in Miami, Florida. The air was thick with humidity, and tempers flared easily. Diane and Richard were arguing over the trunk of their luxury car. "It's just for a little while, Mom," Diane promised my grandmother, Clara, who held me in her arms. "We need to go to New York to make it big. You know how hard it is starting over." Clara's face was tight with unspoken words. My grandfather, Henry, a retired corporate lawyer, watched from the porch swing. His eyes missed nothing, and even in retirement, he carried an air of authority. "The baby needs stability," Clara said firmly. Diane rolled her eyes and checked her makeup in the side mirror. "She has you." What could be more stable than a corporate lawyer and his wife? Richard slammed the trunk closed. "We've got to go if we want to make it to the meeting on time." They kissed me goodbye with perfunctory touches, already lost in their own dreams. The car pulled away without a backward glance. Little did I know then that those few months would turn into years of absence, only broken by rare, obligatory holiday visits. I felt Clara's tears fall on my forehead as she watched her only daughter drive away. My grandparents gave me everything my parents couldn't or wouldn't. Henry taught me the importance of integrity and justice through stories of his corporate battles. Clara's kitchen was a place of warmth and love, where I learned what unconditional love truly meant. They never missed a school event or award ceremony, while my parents' seats remained empty. When I was 18, Clara passed away suddenly from a heart attack. The funeral was small and dignified, just like her. My parents arrived an hour late. Diane complained about her designer dress in the church bathroom, while I stood by my grandmother's casket. "I'll make you proud, Grandma," I whispered, my hand on the polished wood. Henry squeezed my shoulder, his grief as palpable as mine. At that moment, I knew that my real family had always been Henry and Clara. But even then, a small part of me still hoped when Diane hugged me after the service. Henry saw the hope in my eyes and said gently, "Love is a choice, Susan. Your parents have never truly chosen to love you." A month before the court case, Henry passed away. As I was going through his study, I found a series of ledgers hidden in a secret drawer. The first entry hit me like a punch. For the past 20 years, Diane and Richard had been taking money from Henry. They'd asked for loans for business ventures that never materialized, and Henry, being the kind-hearted man he was, had always obliged. The total amount was a staggering $800,000. I also found emails on Henry's computer. Diane's messages were a mix of blatant pleas for money and insidious remarks about how Henry loved me more. Richard's requests were for large business investments that only ended up in failure. It became clear that they had seen Henry as nothing more than an ATM. I dug deeper and found that Diane had been involved in 2 previous inheritance disputes with other relatives. Richard had large gambling debts that he'd been trying to cover up. They were constructing a narrative that I had manipulated Henry in his final years, and I was the obstacle between them and the inheritance they believed was rightfully theirs. But then I found a letter from Henry. "My dearest Susan, if you're reading this, they've started their pursuit. Remember what I taught you. Justice isn't always found in courtrooms. Sometimes it's in standing firmly for truth. You've always been the best of me, and they know it, which is why they fear you." I decided to fight back. I gathered evidence, from financial records to witness statements. I met with Judge Miller at the courthouse cafe. She was an old friend of Henry's and a wise woman. "Henry spoke of you with so much pride," she said. "He knew this day might come. Document everything. Your parents underestimate you. Use that to your advantage." As the court case progressed, they tried every dirty trick in the book. They filed motions to delay, questioned my integrity, and spread false rumors about me. But I was prepared. I had a timeline of their absence from my life, from my high school graduation to my law school acceptance. I had medical records that proved Henry's mental clarity until the end. On the final day of the trial, the courtroom was packed. Mr. Harris, their attorney, presented his case, claiming that I had manipulated Henry. But then I took the stand. I told the court about my life, about the years of abandonment, and about Henry's love and wisdom. I played a video of Henry recorded a few months before his death, where he clearly stated that he was leaving his estate to me because of my loyalty and integrity. Judge Thompson listened intently. After reviewing all the evidence, he declared, "This court finds the challenge to Henry's will without merit. The will stands as written. Moreover, this lawsuit is deemed frivolous, and the plaintiffs will pay the attorney fees." Diane jumped to her feet. "This is absurd. I'm his daughter." Judge Thompson banged his gavel. "Order in the court. This court is adjourned." Outside the courthouse, Diane reached for my arm. "Susan, I'm your mother," she pleaded. I looked at her calmly and said, "Grandma Clara was my mother in every way that matters. You just gave birth." She collapsed into tears, and Richard walked away without a word. A year later, I used a part of the inheritance to start a scholarship fund for children raised by grandparents. I became a circuit court judge, just like Henry had always hoped. And now, standing here in the Supreme Court chambers, I know that I've come a long way. The wound from my parents' abandonment has become a scar, a reminder of my strength and the love of the family who truly mattered.